2024, 2025 meeting of the Development and Services Committee to order. Madam Clerk, if you will take the roll.
Brenham. Teresia.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Brings us to item 2 on our agenda, the approval of minutes. 2A are the minutes from May 20th, 2025. They can be found on pages 6 through 8 of our agenda packet.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All right, we'll take the vote to, approve the minutes.
Madam Chair, can we confirm, so this will be the motion to approve the minutes, not the agenda?
Yes, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Can we repeat the motions, please?
Move to approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, thank you. We'll take the,
Brenham. Teresia.
yes,
Barron.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
thank you. That brings us to item 3, the adoption of the agenda. Are there any requested changes?
No changes, ma'am.
Thank you. We can, is there a
Move to approve the agenda as amended. I'm sorry, as printed. Second.
thank you. Get in a roll here. If we can take the vote to adopt the agenda.
Teresia.
Yes,
Barron.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
thank you. That brings us to item 4. We have one item for action. 4A is from the Department of Public Works Engineering, quit claim deed of a portion of Olga Road. That can be found on pages 9 through 15 of our agenda packet. Is there a motion regarding that item? Or do we, would we like staff to present that item?
I'd like to hear from staff first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Teresia. We actually have the county engineer, Sahad Khalid, here. He can answer any questions that you would like. If you'll recognize him, please.
Yes, you're recognized.
Hello, everyone. This is my first time in the podium here, so I'm not sure if I'm doing well or
Welcome.
not.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm subbing in, so we're all just doing our best.
Yes, ma'am. So how can I answer your question? How can I help?
I believe it would be helpful to the committee if you could just give a little background on the item.
So this item is Olga Road. It was there was something wrong with the entrance of the road. It's belonged to the Palmetto Health, and they fix it. We still need to fix it on our GIS, and you can see on the map. I'm not sure if you can see the map. There is item A, B, C, and we would like to get item. I'm not sure exactly. I have to see the map. Item C or B. 2 of them has to been deeded to us. Yes. One of them has a pond which we do not want to be deeded to us because it's stay privately maintained from by Palmetto Health. So basically, we would like to get that, and that would be the first action, and we will generate an administrative action to Mr. Brown for the deeding process.
Thank you. Is that helpful, Ms. Barron?
Yes, and just one question. You mentioned the lake or the pond that's on the property. That your request is not including that parcel.
Yeah, that parcel, it is on the plan, so we definitely would like not to include it in the deed. So we will make sure that is, if something, when it's on the plan, they cannot ignore it, and most of the time when confusion happen, if it is on the plan, it means it's been deeded. So we have to make sure in the language it's not deeded to us.
So we plan to update the plan to exclude the body of water that's there.
I have to work with the engineer about that. We'll see either in the language or on the plan. Either way should be fine.
So one final thing. And so for this motion, you're needing exactly what from us?
Approving approving item that's, if we go to the summary, the summary, the right-of-way correction will be provided a space for public, and the parcel B, that's what we need to be deeded to us right now. I mean, accepting the deed, basically. Parcel B and C, or A and B. Again, I cannot see it very well from here.
That's gonna be if it's A, B, or C, that's gonna be helpful for
Yeah.
our motion.
I have it in my phone. I can let you know exactly. Yeah. Can I get to the phone?
Please,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So what I'm looking at on page 10 is the quitclaim deed quitclaim for just parcel B. So do we need
Yes.
more than that?
Yes, that's correct. Parcel B, A and C is being already deeded. That's all the need happened together. So we will start the deeding process on Friday, hopefully, when I have my associate helping me with that.
Thank you.
Barron, is that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that Ms. Newton, I can't see the participants, but did Ms. Newton also have a question?
No, I don't. My question is about the next item. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Staff is conferring now, so we'll, moment.
Hold my question.
Councilmember Tracio, at this point, there's a little bit of confusion on what
Okay.
is on the deed. We would like to defer this item till next month, please.
Thank you. Before we move to defer, I just have a question. Is the initiator of this item, is this coming from staff or did this come from the property owner?
This is coming from staff.
Coming from staff. Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to defer.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to defer this item to our July meeting. We'll take the vote on this item.
Teratio,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item 5, our items pending analysis. There's no action required on these. 5A is a motion that county council direct the county administrator to research and provide to council ways to secure title to subdivision roads that were developed but never had ownership rights transferred to the county, and to recommend changes to the county ordinances or protocols to better assure that future development of subdivision roads include conveyance of title to the county unless there is an understanding between the developer and the county that the subdivision roads will intentionally remain privately owned and maintained. You can see on pages 16 through 21 of our packet that there are some updates. Would staff like to speak any further to that item beyond what we have in our packet? Or does the committee have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Newton?
first, I would like to thank staff for including the update on the items that don't require action. I think it's helpful to have that in the briefing. So thank you for including that. My question about this item is actually a question that I had asked during the last meeting, and I'm not sure if there's anyone present who can speak to it. But specifically, my understanding is that council approved something some years ago to require bonding for neighborhoods as they're created, with the idea that those bondings, the funds from the bond rather, would be able to pay to bring roads up to county standards in the event that something happened to the developer. And I was wondering if someone could either confirm that that is correct or give me an update on how that applies to this process.
Yes.
Councilman Tracio, if you would recognize Engineer Sahad Kilka and I apologize for mispronouncing his name the first time, and he'll be able to address this for you.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, can you repeat the question exactly? I'm not following the bonding process.
So some years, yes, thank you. Some years ago, when we had the great real estate bust, we had scenarios where developers went out of business, sometimes before they finished subdivisions, but before they could bring roads up to standard to have them accepted by the county. And so I was under the impression that council changed our policies so that we required a bond from those developers so that in the event that they went out of business or didn't bring things up to standard, that there was a mechanism to secure funding for the roads. And so I wanted to find out if that perception is correct. Last time at our meeting, Ms. Williams was there, Director Williams, and she said it was a public works question that she couldn't speak to. So I didn't know if there was a person from public works who could, or legal, who could speak to my question. And if not, if someone could just bring that information back to the body.
To my knowledge, the correct answer, the answer is correct. We do have bond to secure the roads in case the developer left.
Okay, so that means that while we're addressing this problem now, it's not a problem that should occur in the future because we have a mechanism to handle it.
Hopefully not.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Attorney Wright.
I think the one issue that we do have to keep on is that I think we do have bonds on certain roads, but we have to enforce those bonds. So because the bond means nothing if we don't enforce them. So they have to be enforced.
Thank you. Ms. Newton, do you have any further questions?
Yes, I don't know that we need to linger on that here,
Okay.
but I guess if we could have some sort of update on, so right now we're looking retrospectively with this motion for roads that should have been deeded and should be secured. But I guess I would now want to know, how well are we enforcing those bonds? Are there bonds that we need to enforce? Is that included in this motion? And so again, I don't necessarily need an answer right now, but I do want to understand how well we're doing this.
We will get back to you on that, but I'm pretty sure we do have force bond because I keep those. When I started my position as a county engineer, I do not sign off the bond until we make sure all the roads been inspected and up to the county standards and deeded to us. And I did a couple of them a couple months ago.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. And I'll just ask a question about, for the good of the body and maybe the good of anyone listening today, who, is it Public Works that enforces the bond? What department and does the enforcing? Is it legal department?
I'm not sure how to answer that, honestly. All I know that we have a staff that is mainly responsible to keep the bond active and make sure they are not expire. Thank you.
I'm making eye contact with Attorney Wright. So did you want to be recognized?
No, I'm just saying that legal reviews the bonds, but no, we don't do anything to actively enforce them. What we do is make sure that the bonds that are in place, so that, like, if it's required, that if there's a bank or something or whatever, or other thing that secures the bond, that those are in place to make sure that the bond has meaning.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues on this? Okay. And this is no action needed, so we will look forward to continual updates on this. Okay. Thank you. I believe that brings us to, I lost my place. at 5B. 5B, I move to direct the county administrator to, oh wait, yes, that's right. To commission an analysis of the county's residential development permitting processes and standards related to noise, flooding, air pollution, and other environmental impacts in order to ensure that the county has adopted and is following the most current industry best practices to reduce negative environmental impacts. This may include recommendations for improving and enhancing the county's land development code, land development design manual, comprehensive plan, zoning map, and related documents. There is a note here that staff continues efforts to include any best practices related to the permitting process and standards during the comprehensive plan update. Anything further from colleagues or staff? And seeing none, that does not require any action. That will bring us to 5C. For the purpose of preserving the historical character of the Olympia neighborhood, I move to, within 12 months, create a neighborhood character overlay in tandem with an update to the neighborhood plan for the Olympia neighborhood. During this time, a moratorium on new construction, rezoning, demolition, and substantial rehabilitation, 50% or more of lot area, building square footage change in use will be in place. So that is on pages 22 through 29 of our packet. And you can see that we have a draft of the overlay in our packet. So I will ask staff or my colleagues if they have any questions or updates that they would like to share. Ms. Barron.
Thank you. As we look at these overlays, I know we have several throughout the county. I'm beginning to wonder if this is a current trend where we have growing communities and growing populations where perhaps we need to take a second look in providing overlays. I think about Blythewood even. Even though it's a separate municipality within Richland County. I want to make sure I was saying the right word. I'm just wondering if this is something helpful, not to add additional stress or work for our staff, but I think as we look at Richland County and at the alarming rate that we are growing, if this is something that can assist us in forecasting our growth as we look at the comprehensive plan and, whether it's building new homes, whether it's aligning with the plan. I mean, I really enjoyed those sessions where we were out in the community and were able to see what was being proposed in different areas. So that's my question, and I'm sure it's Director Williams' question. But I'm just starting to think that instead of us being reactionary, to perhaps this may be something that we look at as we forecast our future in a fast-growing Richland County.
Thank you.
If you would recognize Director Williams.
Thank you, Director Williams.
Good afternoon. Specifically to your question, Ms. Barron, yes, that's one of the things we are looking at as we update the comprehensive plan. Not only are we looking at the land use scenarios, but in our work sessions, we're looking at areas around the county that may need to have further study or investment, because a lot of our current neighborhood master plans are either old or outdated, or the areas have changed a lot. And so we are trying to look at areas that may need their own specific studies or more work associated with how we can handle growth and development. The Olympia overlay can happen now because that Olympia Granby Mill area already had a neighborhood master plan. And one of those recommendations was to create an overlay district to protect the historic character of the neighborhood. And so with the update to the land development code, that gave us the authority to be able to create an overlay district. Although that's not this topic, with the discussion with the Ballantyne overlay, because there's no master plan and there's currently no language, if we were to create an overlay just for that area, we would need to have some kind of language that authorizes us to implement another overlay. So that's why we're trying to look at all of that as we update the comprehensive plan.
Oh, if I may, just a follow-up. So as we look at the comprehensive plan, am I hearing you correct to say that the objective is to create the comprehensive plan in such a way that if, let's say, Blythewood wanted an overlay, it can be, I'm not gonna say easily done, but it can be done without having a master plan or having to go back and recreate something in order for something else to take place?
So we're calling them, the word alluded to me earlier, sub-area concepts. So Blythewood may be a sub-area that we may need to look at. It may still require authorizing language in the land development ordinance to create something in lieu of having a whole master plan created. One of the things that we're looking at, again, to kind of reference Ballantyne, instead of just calling it a Ballantyne overlay, maybe we could look at a commercial corridor overlay, have authorizing language, and then that's something that could potentially be implemented on other commercial corridors around the county. So we're trying to take all of that into consideration because we don't want to get rid of being able to do neighborhood master plans. Some areas may need that, but other areas may need certain type of overlay that shouldn't necessarily be just tied to a neighborhood master plan.
I think having generic verbiage is really gonna be helpful, and to make for ease, for you and your staff. And again, I just want to publicly thank you all for the work that y'all are doing on the comprehensive plan that's kind of working in tandem with this motion or this item that we're discussing now. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Tracy, if I can, a little bit on the Olympia overlay.
Yes.
So the planning commission, although it says approval, they actually make the recommendation to forward the language on to council for consideration, and council gives the ultimate final approval. So planning commission did make that recommendation, but they also included a recommendation that we have some type of guidelines for the Board of Architectural Review or Architectural Review Board that is created. That is a board that the county is authorized to create who can look at these historic overlay districts, and if there's going to be new construction or demolition, it would go to those boards. So that's why, although the language that we forwarded is the language that the Planning Commission did recommend for approval, we'd like to also bring to you all at the next committee meeting our recommendations for what that board could look like and what those guidance documents could look like, so that if the committee proceeds to move this on the full council, you'll have all of that information included as well.
Thank you. And this may be a procedural question, but if we're establishing a new commission, would we need to go through rules and appointments to get that set up?
And we're working on a draft ordinance. I can get with the county attorney's office and the clerk to make sure we get that ordinance on the right committee to come to you all. But we don't want to push forward with the overlay getting approved by council and this is lagging behind. We'd like to try to keep them as in tandem as possible, considering that the moratorium is also in place.
Thank you for that work. I know that Ms. Newton has a question as well.
Thank you. I guess so. Two things as it relates to overlays. I think overlays certainly can be useful tools, but I think that whenever we talk about them, we would be well served to just identify that there are different types of overlays that do different things. So there's the commercial corridor that you're talking about. What we're seeing before us for Olympia has severe design restrictions. And so and I don't think that Ms. Barron was implying this. I just want to be extra clear that there's not a one size fits all in terms of what they do or how they work. And so just having those guidelines that we discussed, I think makes a lot of sense. And so I guess what I just wanted to say, partially related to that, is for me, as a person who is not an architect, who has not spent extensive time inside homes in the Olympia Mill Village, it's really hard for me to process these recommendations about where people's garages need to be and how tall their windows need to be. And so I'm not sure that there's anything that we can do about that. Maybe it just has to come to council and we approve that. Maybe the architectural review board gives their blessing before we vote on it, or we just forward a draft to them. I guess I'm just trying to figure out, understanding that I am neither an architect nor a home expert, what the best approach is to approve or provide a vote on something like this. And maybe if I need to ask that differently, let me know.
What I can do, Councilwoman Newton, is that the same presentation we use for Planning Commission to describe what these architectural standards would visually look like, we can present that at the next committee as we go over the language. And that way you can have a visual idea, but that's why I also want to have those kind of recommended guidelines for what would be a staff review versus what would go to the board, and how that board, if established, would handle that. I want to have all that information together. I think that may help a little bit, because I also am not an architect and don't play one on TV, but I want to try to make it as easy as possible for you all to understand.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And I guess I'll just be really interested in the process, because you can show me pictures and that will be nice, but that still doesn't make me feel qualified to say where somebody's garage needs to be, or where their windows need to be. And so I just want to make sure that as we're doing this, we're not necessarily put in a position to really get out of our wheelhouse, but rather we have a process that achieves the desired goal by people who are qualified to have opinions.
Understood.
Thank you. And Ms. Newton, I am entirely sure that there are folks in the neighborhood who would be very happy to take you on a tour of a house at any time.
I bet.
So, and speaking of the folks who are watching this with great interest, I guess, can you just be super clear with me? So this language that we're looking at in our packet, does this need to be blessed one more time by the Planning Commission, and then it will come back directly to full council?
So this has already been blessed and recommended by the Planning Commission. Their only recommendation was to have those guidelines also included. So that's why it's here. We did confer with the county attorney's office to see what would be the best next step, whether to have a zoning public hearing to move it forward or bring it to committee. But based off of the Planning Commission's recommendation and the fact that there's already a motion in committee, the recommendation was to bring it to committee for you all to then do the blessing that would send it on to full council. And so we're just asking if you let us bring those guidelines back to you next month. If you feel comfortable at that time, you can consider the move on to full council.
Okay, so this is just for information today?
Yes, ma'am.
And then we will vote, this committee will vote next month?
If you feel comfortable, yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And is there still an opportunity for there to be any kind of amendment or feedback on these? Because people are reading with interest and care, and I want to make sure that I am responsive if and when I need to be.
Yes, ma'am. Up until third and final reading, we can make additional changes, as you all did with the moratorium ordinance as well. We can do that.
Thank you so much. Anything else from the body? Okay. I'm having a okay, thank you, Madam Clerk, for getting that right in front of my face. So that'll bring us to 5D. I move that the county consider developing a neighborhood master plan that establishes policies and goals related to preservation and development in the Ballantyne community, with the goal to preserve and promote the desired character of the community while also conserving and protecting the waters and watershed of Lake Murray. I believe we kind of alluded to this item. There is a note that staff continues to develop a draft commercial corridor overlay district to present to the committee this fall. Anything more that anyone would want to say or ask about that? And I think Mr. Branham is out of town still, so we will hopefully discuss that next meeting. If there's nothing else, that brings us to item 6.
Adjourn.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. We'll take the vote to adjourn.
Teratio,
Yes?
Barron. English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.